What's up, world?
Right.
How y'all doing? I hope y'all can see me pretty okay in here. We got Donna in here. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Sorry we're a little late, guys. Exciting day, exciting times, interesting times, a lot to talk about. Waiting for my co-host to make her way to the IG Live. Okay, your DeProgrammed podcast is joined. Okay, that must mean that maybe, you know. Hilarious.
Listen, we on deck. Hi, everybody.
No, right? Let me just get my face.
All the sources.
Oh, man. I know you are.
Before we allow anyone in the chat to actually talk, we're going to set the table, as my co-host like to say. That's his catchphrase. But we're going to set the table.
Yeah.
So,
I was
in setting the table.
Do you want to set it, or would you? Because I think I know what we're going to say. So would you? The floor is yours. You set the table with that, right?
Well, number one, this is Ariana Aparicio, aka Ari.
Jason Andre Roberts, aka Conquest. Welcome to your DeProgrammed podcast, emergency edition, emergency issue on your IG lives, because we are here for a new era, a new set of regularly scheduled
Deprogramming.
Yeah.
So,
key phrase today.
It was a historic event. Conquest, I'm going to have people join in from Radical on Fire. So if you see anyone there, but as they're coming in the chat, remember, guys, introduce by first name if you want to say anything. But as you can see, hi, Stand Up Woman. As you can see, the title says Decision 2024, maybe because it doesn't say it's been acting a little wonky with that word today, but it's election 2024. If you weren't under a rock, yesterday was our presidential elections here in the United States, and we have a new president by the name of Donald J. Trump. He will be inaugurated in January. And yeah, there's actually a lot of discourse going on about that. But we are going to set the table. This is an open conversation. We just want to lay out some ground rules for anyone coming in, anyone who wants to say anything. This is a respectful platform. We do not encourage bullying or condone it. No one is to yell, degrade, curse at anybody on here. We are all Americans. Some people might even chat in outside of the country. We are to treat everyone with respect and dignity, no matter their opinion. If you're in America, we are all Americans at the end of the day, and we are allowed to have our own opinions about what happened last night, or I should say this morning, technically. So with that being said, and that being set the table, last night / this morning, it's been a ride.
Yeah, it's been about, so the time is now maybe close to 8 o'clock. So technically it has been anywhere, it's been 14 hours since the news broke out, because according to you, Ari, you said that how the actual official word went out around 6 a.m., right?
Yes. At 5:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Donald J. Trump was elected president of the United States of America to be inaugurated in January of 2025.
Got it.
Yes.
Cool. So, well, maybe, all right, I think we should start with you. In fact, we're not going to stay. How should we do this? Well, we have some guests to come in, and we don't want to keep them hanging in the cockpit for long. But I think, since you knew of the news faster than I did, because I recognized what was happening an hour later when I woke up around maybe 7:30. So, in fact, it was literally the first thing I saw on my page. Like seeing it in real time, catching the news, seeing it happen right before your eyes, like hearing the final count go in, or maybe not the final count, but the deciding count go in, because apparently he won at 277, if I'm not mistaken, and I think Kamala was at maybe in the 220s or something like that, 224?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. That is correct. So he broke 277 at 5:34 a.m. With Wisconsin. He won Wisconsin. At that point, there was no route for Kamala to win anymore, no matter if she won the other states or not. because he broke over the 270. If anyone who is unfamiliar with Electoral College. Hello, Desiree. Nice to see you in here. So with that, Kamala lost. They elected him. We're going off the Associated Press. And we are now doing a basically a reflection on that. So for me, live, 2020 was a very, very weird year for me. I watched the election live throughout the night. And I saw some things that was rather discouraging and made me question democracy as a citizen in America, which made me not vote. So one of the things I wanted to set the table with our guest today is whether people vote or not, we're still going to be respectful. And I want to even hear the reason as to why. If people did vote, why? If you didn't vote, why? For me personally, I did not vote this year. But Trump winning definitely put my faith back in the democracy of America. Technically, we're a constitutional republic, but it put my faith back in our system, and I will be voting for the first time in my life in 2028. I actually wanted to know what it was for you. So that was my experience for me. I didn't get any sleep last night. I went to sleep at 6 o'clock this morning. So I woke up with the biggest bags under my eyes, but it was okay. What about you? What was yesterday for you, Conquest?
I mean, yesterday into today, I think it was just getting a feel and a pulse to where the country was heading. Like, to be honest with you, based on just my own observations and how things were going, I would have been very surprised if Vice President Harris would have won, to be honest, because it's just nothing about her campaign and everything that was happening around her gave me a convincing argument. I saw that there were moments when I did question it, though. I was just like, hey, maybe this might be closer than maybe we were giving her credit for. You know, Lord knows she definitely pulled out all the stops as far as just all the pop culture kudos and visibilities, from being on Saturday Night Live to the people who she had endorsing her on the campaign trail. So there were moments where it was looking like, hey, maybe she might be giving up more of a fight than we realized. But as the numbers started coming in, because I started tuning in early, honestly. I started tuning in once, you know, a certain time hit, like around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And as it began, and I think the score at one point was like 20 to like 100 and something. And I was just like, yeah, it felt like a snowball's chance in hell, to be honest. And, you know, there were moments where, you know, it was looking good for her to a certain degree because, you know, it was early in the count, and certain states that have like 55 electoral colleges going on wasn't counted yet. So there might have been a chance. I've seen this, you know, according to you, Ari, we've seen this number before. But as I went to bed last night, I was just like, yeah, it would literally be an act of God for Kamala to kind of like pull that out. And as I woke up this morning and I looked at my phone, first post I saw was from the Shade Room, ironically enough, and it was a confirmed Donald Trump victory. And yeah, that was it. Oh, I mean, there's more to it. I mean, there was the rest of the day, the conversations I had with people and, you know, things I saw online. But I can't say I was surprised by the result. It might have been shocking for others, and I'm not sure why, if anybody was really paying attention. And I paid kind of casual attention to it. But, yeah, this guy was, it felt like he was destined to win. And we're not even counting the assassination attempts. We're not counting all the other intangibles, which I'm sure we'll get into as we deep dive into the conversation. But just as far as first impressions go, yeah, that's what it was for me.
I agree. So now here's a question for you, and we're going to ask this to everyone who comes in. Did you vote?
I did not. I did not only because I can't currently, because I am not an American citizen. I am a legal, I'm a legal resident. And I have been forever. And I'm actually, funny enough, I was actually in the process of becoming a citizen, but life started lifing on my side, and that kind of like brought that to a halt. I really wanted to become one in time for the election, but again, things did not work out that way. So no, I did not vote this year.
Okay. And then if you could vote, who would you vote for? And it doesn't obviously have to be Kamala or Trump, but who would you vote for, period, if you were following anybody, or you still wouldn't vote even with the right to?
I would have not voted. I was not a fan of either candidate. I would have probably, it would have been a, well, I'll say this. I paid attention to the election to a certain degree. I think if I had the legitimate ability to vote this year, I probably would have concentrated on it even more. I would have probably gone the extra mile to find out everything, every single thing about these candidates, what I wanted and what I didn't want, because it would have literally been my first vote ever. You know what I'm saying? It would have been my first vote, and I wanted to make that count, you know? So I would have found out everything that there was to know about what Kamala was about, especially since Joe Biden dropped out, and get refreshed on what Donald may have been thinking about. You know what I'm saying? But as it stands right now, just as with the information I had currently, I probably would have not chosen either one. I probably would have sat this one. Because do you want me to elaborate on that, or
Go ahead, please. Desiree agreed with you, and I wanted to say hi to Vicky. She's tuning in as well. Desiree agrees. She said she didn't feel comfortable picking either candidate. And remember, guys, if you're going to comment a lot in the chat, just know that you can come in. This is a grand discussion. So just feel free to come in. If you don't want to show yourself, it's fine. But we'd rather the live discussion so that we can basically talk to each other and interact back and forth, okay?
I'll start on the Democratic side first. The Democratic side for me was suspect from the beginning, because I felt like the Biden years weren't really that impressive to me at all. I started seeing a lot of cracks in the surface, especially in the economy and just everything around it. And I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like there was anything energetic happening in government while he was there. And as far as I'm concerned, Kamala pretty much was dormant the whole time. Like, it was almost like we saw her all through the campaign leading up to them being elected. And then by the time she got into office, it was almost like, well, where is she? What is she doing? That type of thing. I just felt like it was a no-show. So I didn't really have a lot of faith in the Democratic Party in the first place. Then when Joe Biden had to step down, because it was obvious that health-wise he wasn't in the right place, and one would argue he hasn't been in the right place health-wise in a very long time, right? And then you have Kamala coming up, and for someone who has a reputation for being very hard on crime when it comes to petty crimes, in her time when she was like doing what she was doing on the West Coast before she became in a position to be elected vice president, I just felt like it was a lot of pandering. I felt like, you know, there was just a lot of things that policy-wise did not add up. And then it wasn't moving me that she was grabbing every hip-hop celebrity that she could find to kind of like bolster her campaign to give her.
You wasn't rocking to Beyonce?
I was not. In fact,
the song's freedom, something.
To be honest with you, listen, I know Freedom's on, what's the album? Lemonade, I think it's on that. I'm starting to hate that song. I'm legitimately starting to hate that record.
You hate that song.
I'm so serious. Like, I'm starting to recognize that once, because I was watching
Homie is
the
laughing at
concession.
you. Homie Al is laughing at you.
Before, I wasn't mad at that song. I like that song. Kendrick's on the song. You know what I'm saying? But I'm realizing I hate that song now. Like Kamala single-handedly made me hate that record. You know, like I heard her on the concession speech, and the song playing, and it just felt like a
No.
parody, like freedom, freedom. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to hear this song again. I never thought I would say that about that particular song. You know, I'm good on that. So
Can I
yeah,
just put
so
some in? It was a fact that they were playing Freedom and she was gone.
right,
Like that was like the last song before her rally ended. No.
the juxtaposition
I
of
was
it
like,
was
don't do
just
that.
insane to me. Like the juxtaposition of that whole thing felt surreal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dad said
and of
she would have
course,
voted for Trump, and Vicky
hmm?
says that Kamala was cringe.
Yeah,
Walking out to
yeah,
that
yeah.
song.
But here's
Agree. Agree.
and another thing, as you met, Vicky, great point. Another thing about Kamala, and I promise I ain't gonna stay too long on this. Yeah, I felt like I can't listen again for somebody who wasn't all the way invested like I could have been if I was actually voting. For someone who was just like from an observer's point of view, because again, I wasn't sold on either candidate. They made a lot of noise about her race. Like, who is she? Is she black? Is she East Indian? It was like a topic of discussion. The noise about that alone was so big, I could barely hear past it. And then by the time she lost, all of a sudden everybody's crying in the comments and all these different blogs talking about, oh man, a black president, a black woman president. They don't want a black woman president. And I'm tripping like, yo, she wasn't black before. Y'all couldn't decide what race she was. Now she's black because she lost to Trump. That doesn't make any type of
Wow.
sense. So I was off with it, right? And there's so much other things I could break down. I'm sure we'll get there, but that's the overview.
So you didn't vote because you didn't feel confident in either candidate.
And Trump, for anybody who knows me and have heard certain things I've said, I believe that Trump does a really good job of speaking to the working class. I think, it's funny, Bernie Sanders put up a post today, and he spoke directly to the Democratic Party, and he said that how one of the big reasons why y'all lost this election is because y'all abandoned the working class. And Trump swooped in and mobilized that easy,
I was hoping to catch him at East Orange's McDonald's.
Right.
I would have pulled up real quick. I'd be like, no, ain't no way. I want my fries with no salt.
Right. Yeah, right. That would have been interesting. That would have been great.
That would have been great.
But yeah. So there's that. Trump does a really good job of mobilizing the working class. He does a good job, surprisingly good job at mobilizing people who consider themselves Christian and evangelicals and stuff like that. And he did a really good job of mobilizing a lot of more minority voters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of quote unquote blacks for Trump, Latinos for Trump, even gays for Trump. Like we talked about that earlier, Ari. Like he did a really bang up job of doing that, while Kamala pretty much honed in on women. I think her campaign was centralized on women. Even her last speech, as you showed me, the 45-minute speech she did in Texas was highly concentrated on women.
Yeah.
Nothing against women, but more towards the whole idea of like abortion rights and all these things, right? Where I felt like there was a mass policy more with Trump. The thing that's always bothered me with Trump, though, honestly, is just I feel, I think that he lets a lot of racist rhetoric and entities slide. Okay. And I feel like he's been doing that since 2020. And I think that's my one major indictment of him. That makes me uncomfortable. And I'm thinking in terms of like that the undercover bigots who started to show up a lot more when he was president. I'm thinking about just like things like police reform and the way they deal with police brutality and all that other stuff. I have a hard time when he doesn't speak out against certain things. And yeah, that was a big one for me. So
So that's a
yeah,
lot to delve into. I want
yeah,
us to touch on all those topics. We're going to do this in order, everyone that's in the chat. So, Conquest, they're saying that they're trying to join. Remember, it's at Radical on Fire. He's the one who's hosting the live. So it's not your Deprogrammed podcast. This is our podcast, but for some reason, Instagram has to have us go through the 90-day vet before we can even host lives. So
yeah.
it's at Radical on Fire. You ask him to request a live. Let's do it in order. So I'm going to ask, is this Victoria?
Yeah, that's Victoria.
Gosh,
That's
that's
Vicky.
me. Hi, what's up?
Hi, Vicky. How are you?
I'm
Hey,
fine.
Vicky.
Oh my gosh, hold on. I wasn't ready. I
Yeah,
was
I was
like
just about
talking
to say, oh, you was ready?
I was eating. I
No,
was
no,
waiting in
it's
line.
fine. It's fine. If you need some time, we wanted to go in order. So I did see that Joseph Epps was right before you. Do you mind coming in? Please feel free, girl. Munch. It's gonna be a good conversation. So munch down. We ain't gonna try to get in the way of your food. It's dinner time. We all know that. So
No.
we can definitely pull you back in.
No, that's fine. No, I was like, I just saw it popped on. How's everyone?
Doing well. Doing well. How
Good,
about yourself?
good, good. Can't complain. Can't complain. I
All
was just
praise.
here laying down. So,
Okay,
a
there she
couple
is.
things. So, Quest, you hit on everything, obviously. I also share the same points as you. I've only voted once in my entire life. And that was when I was ignorant and not a believer and didn't understand policy. I voted for Obama
Okay.
because he was black. It was the first black president, but I wasn't going to make that mistake again. I didn't vote afterwards, after that. What led me to really understand how these political parties go about things was discernment, spiritual discernment, and really looking at not what they're saying per se, but what's really happening behind the scenes on a like higher level, like the little gimmicks that Kamala did with pulling all the celebrities to dance. That's a gimmick to me. You know, that's very it's manipulation. It's like witchcraft, right? And you know, even with Donald Trump, he has money already. He doesn't need to do this, right? So why would a man who has money and so many businesses and well off take the abuse that he's taken just to stand for this? I don't want to say horrible country, for this country that has so much work to be done, right? It's something, you know what I mean? It had to be something or someone above that was calling him to help repair this country. I mean, Donald Trump, he is like in his mind, he's like a construction worker. He's in realty. He's in all these things. So he's meant to rebuild, and restructure the country. So that's how I kind of viewed it. I'm just blabbing. Sorry.
No, you're not blabbing. This is an open platform. We want to hear your opinion. So here's a question for you. Did you vote or did you not vote, and why?
I didn't vote. I didn't vote for two reasons. I was not really paying attention to the politics very much like Quest. I'm just like, it's going to be whoever it is, and we're just going to have to flow with it, right? But then at the last minute, when I did try to vote online like 2 days ago, I was like, you know what, maybe I should do it. It wouldn't let me change my status from Democrat to Republican online. And I'm like, ain't that something?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to go in person. So I was like, maybe it wasn't meant for me to vote. God's will be done regardless. And I had a dream that he would win anyway back in 2020, and so it came back. So
right.
Yeah.
So with you not being able to switch from Democrat to Republican, was that some sort of like policy, like you had to do it within a certain time? It wasn't like a quick turnaround. Like, did they mention that? Was that the problem?
They didn't give a reason. It just like you had up until last night to still vote online.
Yeah.
I tried for 2 days straight, and I'm like, why is it not letting me switch? It bothered me because it reminded me from the last election when they were, doing a lot of cheating and stuff like that. You remember? So I'm like, it's not allowing you to switch. It wouldn't let me move forward to the next like page to vote. I'm registered. It says active. I'm like, okay, just leave it alone. I know he's gonna win, so so be it. So that's my
So,
stance.
so with Trump winning, what do you hope? What issues are your major issues and concerns with the country right now, and what are you hoping he fixes if
Yeah,
he is to hold to his promises?
as a mom, so I'm a mom of two. My main thing right now is the agenda, the LGBTQ agenda, that I believe Obama started,
Yeah.
and that Kamala was supposed to continue on with other alphabets. Right now, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about like with children, pedophilia, and all those other alphabets. So I feel like that was my main thing. That you give rights to one people, then everyone else wants the same thing because
Right.
that's their preference. And I don't want the preference to be a child and to be legalized now. So that was the main thing for me as a mom. And I know Trump was not for that. Kamala's like partying with in the Pride Parade, and to me, okay, yes, you have to love everyone, and but I don't want that to be pushed down my children's throat in school and be taught that like it was already happening. Teaching children in school about they can be a boy if they want to be a boy when they're really a girl, vice versa.
Right.
I actually pulled my kids out of the brick and mortar school and I homeschool them now, right? Because I just didn't know what direction this would go this year, and the way how aggressive they were pushing this narrative of teaching children this from a very young age. And I just didn't want my children to be infected by it. So that was the main concern for me. Business, yeah, and jobs returning for the working class, because they're needed. They're needed, and then also for entrepreneurs. I'm a new entrepreneur, and I think Donald Trump would be the best fit as an entrepreneur himself to help other entrepreneurs and make the pathway for us out there.
No, that's good. That's legitimate. That's legitimate reasons for me.
Yeah,
To me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So here's the question. So the question is that it's not that you have a problem with preference, sexual preference. It's just the way that they're educating the kids and the children on the
Um,
transitioning, or delve into that a little bit.
yeah. So I definitely don't like that for the children. They're just not mature enough to, at that age, make a decision like that, right? If they want to do that as they get older, when they have the brain capacity to process what that entails, that's their choice. But to invite that type of talk into a setting where it's supposed to be academic, nurturing, and just growing them in the basics, you know, children's minds, there's milestones for certain things. And if they're in kindergarten, they don't need to be learning about sexuality and things like we learned in high school when we had to take, like sex ed classes. Like, I don't feel like a kindergarten or a first grader should be exposed to that, you know?
Agreed.
Especially on that level.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, yeah. And as far as preference, I mean, me as a Christian, obviously, I'm gonna love the people who still show love to those that have a different view on, sexual preferences, because that's what I'm called to do. But am I in agreement with it? No. But am I going to disrespect them or talk down on them? No. You treat all the same, right? That's what we're called to do. Love God, love others, and like we love ourselves. So,
That's awesome. Thank you
mhm.
so much, Vicky. So
Welcome.
you did not vote.
No.
So do you have any faith going forward? This will be the last one, and then we'll get, I believe Joseph Conquest was trying to come in as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
But do you have faith, or do you think you'll be voting in the next election, learning how this one turned out, 2028?
Honestly, Honestly, from the rallies that I've watched with Trump, what I've observed through his talk, because I'm able to understand hidden language, he is making this, if all goes well, the last time to vote. Because when you look at other nations, there is no Democrat, Republican. There's one president or one king or one leader over that nation. And President Trump did say that this will be the last time you will have to vote. So my um, mind is telling me that he's learning from other nations the way of how to run a nation with one leader instead of two different parties. Um, and again, back to that dream that I had with him being side by side with the North Korean president, Kim Jong-un, I feel like he's probably learning that, how to restructure the country under one president and not have, two sides. Because how are we going to be called the United States, but we're always divided? We're the divided states. It doesn't make
Divided
sense.
states, and
Right.
soon Texas and Florida will be annexing, or at least that's what they want to do. And then it will really be the separated states of America.
It doesn't make sense. So,
Yes,
take voting out all once and for all. And just like all the other nations and countries, once your term is up, just, have one view, one party. It shouldn't be this two types of things. That's division.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And that's the
So
last thing we need. We don't need any more division in America. I think it's about
unity.
time we start to, yes, unify, unify, unify.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
Vicky, we
you.
want to thank you. Thank you for coming on, sharing your opinions with us. Please feel free to stick around, join
Yes.
into the chat, and then we are going to have someone come in. Joseph Epps
All right.
was in
Let's see.
line. Joseph, if you want to send a request. And Vicky, feel free to tell people where they can follow you.
Oh yes. This is my main page, Victoria Nanga. So that's one handle. And then my music page is the Vicky Savage. So
Pay
that's
attention to that music page, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to
She
that.
raps savagely, which is the Vicky Savage part. I'm pinning it all together. But yes, she is amazing. Please check out her music, support her. She is authentic and she raps what she preaches.
Yeah, man.
preacher on the beat.
Have
Thank you.
a
Appreciate
good
you.
night, lovely.
You
Take
too.
care.
All right. You too.
Okay. So
That's
I
interesting,
think
huh?
yeah, that was good. That was
Yeah.
definitely good. In the meantime, as they're rechanneling themselves, you didn't get to answer the question you asked me. Did you vote? You know what I'm saying? Did you vote?
No, I did not vote this year. I was always taught that democracy was something almost like an illusion. It was something that we taught existed. We were taught existed, but they always put who they wanted in the house. Um, Almost like when you go to a grocery store and you pick out a cereal box, but then you figure out all of them are owned by Kellogg's, right?
Yeah.
So
Never
it's like
had a choice.
illusion of choice. Yeah. So that's what I was taught. And to echo Vicky, in 2020, I saw something really disturbing that completely confirmed for me what I was taught my whole life, that at any time they can rig this. I don't know who rigs it. I don't know who, pulls the strings. But at the end of the day, the way that they have the system between the popular vote and the electoral college, and the conspiracy. Again, this is allegedly, guys. Take it with a grain of salt. Do your research. Dig into the rabbit hole if you want to. With a lot of the ballot dumping that was done, a lot of the illegal immigrants that they allowed to vote in 2020 to give the vote to Biden, I lost complete faith in democracy that day. So I did not vote, but I did give myself a criteria or a condition. And I told myself if Trump won this year in this election, because to me it would be against all odds. So if Trump won this election, I would vote for the first time in 2028. The reason being is because there is no way Trump should have won this election. Mainstream media did not support him. People who supported Trump, I couldn't even mention Trump in my personal life without being verbally attacked. So, and I might not, I don't consider myself a Trump supporter. I can just say, hey, well, listen, I really like what Trump said. And the minute I say Trump, people are just jumping down my throat. So I could even have a civil discourse with people who I'm close to because they felt so offended by the name of that. So not only did mainstream media not back him, but when you look at your surrounding, you didn't see a lot of people really backing Trump either. A lot of the people fed off the narrative because mainstream media was trusted so long to just tell us the truth unbiasedly. I think in the last decade or so, they've done a very good job of turning their opinions into facts. But people who are used to tuning into the television for their truth, they don't discern it. So Trump basically shouldn't have won. And people go to their mainstream media news. So we're talking the major channels, ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, what's Channel 7? Whatever Channel 7 is, 11, which is, I think, CNN or something, not CNN, CBW or WBC, whatever. People are turning to that for their information. And we're not understanding that people are basically being lied to. So if Trump won this election for me, hello, Joseph. If Trump would have won this election for me, it would have definitely meant that against all odds, he got the popular vote. Against all odds, he was on the ground. People really showed up for him. This is not a joke. This is not a game. By the media, he should not have won. He had no support. Every time you saw a headline, Trump's a racist, Trump's a fascist, he's supporting this person backed him who thinks that all black people should be this, or whatever the case may be. He had no public support, ever. And this is while the convictions are going on too, by the way. So this is while he's going to court for all the fraud and all this other type of stuff. Like, they were witch hunting this man. And that's actually made me want to investigate into him more. Because I was just like, well, why is he public enemy number one, right? Like, I mean, he's not even in the presidency seat anymore. He's not the president anymore. Why are you still going after this man? And why is everything you're doing to him breaking news? Like, I don't understand what's so important about him. I look into him, and I'm just like, wow, he shouldn't have won this. And the fact that he did just shows to me, it made me believe that democracy is real. And people voting is real. And people showing up and basically supporting their candidate is real. In my opinion, if I could vote, I would have went for Robert F. Kennedy or Bernie. I like independent parties. I'm not really a fan of either party. But Trump, no matter if you respect him or not, for me, restored my faith in America in the voting process. So no, I did not vote. I know that was a long-winded answer, but no, I did not vote this year. But in 2028, I will be voting for my first time. I will be using my right in 2028.
No, I love it. That's good. Joseph, sir, how you doing this afternoon or this evening?
Yes, by the way. Assassination attempt 2. They got him twice, man. They try to get him golfing on the 18 hole. What's up with that? Like, what? Like, you still can't even golf in peace. Like, no, I can't. Hello, Joseph. How are you? I'm sorry. I just saw that. I got triggered again. I'm like, didn't 50 Cent say mini men? Many. Like, he got shot twice. Like, this ain't no joke out here. He a gangster.
Yeah. But
how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
So what do you think about the election, sir? And please tell us if you want to. Did you vote? Did you not vote, and why?
I didn't vote at all. I don't like both candidates. So I mean, I think
I'm waiting for somebody to vote. No voted so far. Nobody
voted so far. This is the live of no votes. We don't vote.
I mean, both choices wasn't for me. So I was like, I think Trump a racist, but I do respect how he lets you know what it is.
He does.
I do respect that. He gonna let you know what it is, and he gonna let you know what I'm saying. But with Kamala, she liked to hide behind things. So I don't know. And I think with her downfall, she was a prosecutor. It was because she was a prosecutor. That was her downfall right there. Because she deals with law a lot. So dealing with law, and you know, the world. I mean, not the world, but as far as the nation is big on law, and they don't like her in that position. So, being that she was a prosecutor, I think that's what made her was her downfall right there. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't for me to vote, so I didn't even vote at all.
Yeah. And what issues mattered most to you in this election? So you said both parties didn't really rock with you. If you could name 3 major issues that you wanted your candidate to solve, what would those 3 issues be?
Right.
First, what what was Trump doing it? As far as the he want to get the police involved in the communities and stuff. I want you to do that, yeah, as far because to make the communities better. But then you talk about anytime they go to court, you want to throw all the cases out. I'm like, no, you can't do that. So that was one of my major points why I wanted to vote for him right there, because you want to exonerate all the way. Like, you can't do that. You still have to hold them accountable for what they're doing to as well.
Okay.
Because if we go out there and kill somebody right now, we go into court and we will get whatever crucified. But the police can do the same thing, and here's police, just let them go. Nah, that shouldn't be appropriate.
I believe that's qualified immunity, right? Am I getting that term right?
Yeah, immunity.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, you can't give them immunity because they still have to be held accountable for something. Because it's just like you can be walking down the street and niggas shoot you. Because I feel like shooting them today. I'm gonna shoot them. I'm gonna gun them down. And then they say, you go to court. Oh, well, he's a police officer. So we exonerate him, to give him immunity. Nah. So and then that was one point why I didn't vote for.
So you vote for police reform? Like, police reform is a major issue to you?
I think it is. Because you gotta, because you can't have the Wild Wild West. Just everybody's running around killing each other. You have to have some structure set for the world. Because if you don't have any structure set, then everybody be dead in the world.
Right. Thank you.
Tomorrow, I might.
Yeah, qualified immunity. He said he thinks it means that the officers themselves can't be personally sued, but the department can still be sued.
Yeah.
So basically, the officers themselves can get away with it, but the department, you can go after the department, which is kind of passing the buck, in my opinion.
Yeah. But at the same time, so that was one of them. And then, like I said, I'd never fought with Kamala because as a prosecutor, I know what the prosecutors do as a job. You can find somebody innocent. They think somebody innocent, but they still keep on attacking them like they're guilty. You know what I'm saying? Trying to just, I'm gonna get a plea, even though you know the person is innocent. They're still fighting for a plea deal. So I'm like, okay, if you know the person is innocent, let them go. Now you got some prosecutors that do that, but most prosecutors, they're gonna keep on attacking, even though they know the person is innocent. So that was Carmella for me. That's why I didn't vote for her. So that's 2 of them. The third one, I don't know about a third. That was 2 main issues for me right there. 2 main issues. But the third, I don't know about the third one.
So if the candidate, your ideal candidate was someone who basically started to question qualified immunity, basically like hold the police more accountable, especially when we went through the whole BLM era. We went through a lot of police, we still do go through a lot of police brutality, particularly in the Black and brown communities. And then also going after the whole thing of Kamala being a prosecutor, that kind of like how you feel like the prosecution kind of does things and how, they're basically like exonerating people that are more like favors to them as opposed to true justice in the system.
Yeah. And then another thing too, now that Trump is a felon and he is a president.
Listen. I'm not gonna have you come at my boy, okay? Yeah. I'm not letting you come at my boy.
Well, hold on.
He's appealing his convictions, okay? He's appealing his convictions. But he a felon. He got shot at. Okay. How much more 50 Cent can you get?
Now,
like,
hold on.
Just like, I don't understand.
Now hold on.
How much?
Now that he's a felon, and he's a president now. A fellowship has the right to vote. A fellowship never had to lose their rights back now. A fellowship had the right to vote because he's a president and he had a felony on his record. He's a felony.
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. So,
but I heard that that's how they keep slavery alive too in the ballot, is that they use prisoners for free labor, and that's like the modern day slavery.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So because they pay them 45 cents in the jail. 45 cents for a job that's getting paid $35, $45 out here. Inside the prison, you went for $1.25 to 45 cents. That's it.
Victoria said Trump has said he's going to fire that judge the first day he get in office. I will hold you to that, Vicky. January 5th is what it is. A week before my birthday. Yeah. We about to go ham. Fire everybody. Fire everybody. Clean the house.
And they should look out. And they should look out for that judge. Go for me page and get that judge a millionaire. Make him a millionaire. Make her a millionaire, man.
Right.
So, but I think you should, for real though, I think it's like as a felony now, you should be able to right to vote because he's a felony as a president, and he was doing it it would have felt he was still running for office.
Okay, so let's explore that a little bit more. Do you feel like, because there's also a transition, I know that the military kind of talks about this, veterans talk about this whole thing of getting back accustomed to civilian life. Do you feel like felons should have some type of program like that before they vote? Do you feel like they should be able to vote in prison without any of that type of program in place? Or is that there no difference to you? Whether you're a felon or not, you can cast a ballot.
That's a total, because in prison, you're only going to see one, like, most people in prison probably vote Democrat in prison because they think they're 40 people. When, me personally, I think Republican and Democrat, regardless, they only can do what they can do. They're going to tell you all these things when they get in office, because they still got to pass bills, and bills get vetoed and all this stuff. So still, even if I pass a bill right now, I might say, I'm going to make this happen for y'all. And they veto it back to me. I still got to Congress and all this stuff too as well.
Right.
So I can't say I'm going to do it, because some of them get in office and say they're going to do all this, and then they get in the office and just sit in there just because they're the president.
Right.
So,
that's a lot of things.
My man Nick Petronius said how the Democrats went ham on all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Exactly. All the wrong
things. We're going to get into it too, because I want some women in here as well. We're going to go into reproductive rights. If you guys want to touch it, there's some touchy subjects here, but we have to look at the failures of the Democrats. We have to look at, did Kamala focus too much on reproductive issues? We also are going to do some fact checking. So this is the DeProgrammed part of it. So I have in front of me Project 2025. I have all the facts about Project 2025. If people have their thoughts on it, we're going to cycle back through. Joe, you said woo, so I can only imagine what you thinking about right now. So we're going to cycle through it. So we're going to fact check each other. This is the whole thing. We want a base of a truth among all of us, so at least we can have informed opinions.
Right.
And we can stand together on a basis of truth, right? Because we all have to live in this country together. So
see, I think with that too, as far as the that's gonna be a big thing too, as far as like with the abortion rights right now, as far as women go. I think, me personally, I think a woman should have the right to do what they want to do. Their choice. That's their body. So if you want to have abortion, you have abortion. If you don't, you don't. But I don't think no person should control that at all. No law, none of this should control that at all.
Agreed. Well, Joe, listen, I pray you didn't vote this year. Is there any faith? 2028. If someone's saying the right things, if they move in the right way, if he move with the right swag, and he like, yeah, I'm gonna do for you what should have been done for you, or she say I'm gonna do for you what should have been done for you. I was with you from the beginning. I'm not Kamala. I really was in the middle class. I really was working at McDonald's. You can fact check me. It's real. Is there any faith that you're gonna vote in 2028 if you have the right candidate?
If you had the right candidate, I might vote if you had the right candidate. But I mean, I can say this was a fair vote this time. I ain't heard all the bull like last time, boy.
Yeah.
But this time it was fair. This time.
I'm thinking about leaking those photos, Conquest. I'm thinking it's about time I show those photos that showed the ballot dumps. So all the eyes be in the chat right now. I have the evidence of when they dumped the votes. I have it live on my phone. I haven't shown nothing but a couple people in my life. Yeah.
Now they did have one dude. They set fire to a little grenade, not a grenade, but a firebomb and some of the ballot things.
Yes.
They tried to destroy the ballot. So I'm like, you had little ones here and there, but all in all, it wasn't like the last one.
Yes.
And it was just all over, everybody trying to destroy every state and all, let me recount and all. It won't nothing like that this time. It was just straight through. So.
As Patron said, too big to rig. It was too big to rig. They couldn't do it this time. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for coming on. Again, we'll be on for, I would say, the next hour and a half. So we're going to touch some topics, but you guys tell us the topics that matter to you. We touched on something, reproductive rights, which I think we should really go into because that's gonna hit some things.
Well, I'll be tuned in. I'll be tuned in.
Thank you, and tell them where they can follow you, Joe. And if anyone wants to come in now, here's a chance. Just request at Radical on Fire to come in. But we're gonna start hitting that, and we're gonna start hitting Project 2025 soon too.
Okay, I'll be listening to y'all.
All right, Joe.
All right.
My man Joseph, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
All right, bro. Yeah, man.
We have
Listen,
so many.
Ari's
We have
been
so
sitting
many
on
different people.
Ari's
We had a mom
been
with
sitting on
2 kids.
evidence about how this went last 4 years ago for a long time. She's been sitting on it. She showed me what she's been screenshotting. This has been a thing for a minute. But it's also shown me in this whole thing, in the conversations that we've had so far, that people have very little faith in the voting process. This year might have just maybe increased that just a tad, but overall, I can only imagine, based on the 3 people that we spoke to, including us, or maybe more, how people feel the same way.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. Again, I think this time it was too big to rig. How do you justify Trump's support when nothing on TV, nothing on mainstream media news would even tell anyone that he's likable?
Right.
You can argue that Trump was the most hated man in America. Yeah. You can argue that. Actually, pretty well.
Good crew here tonight. Then I voted, and I'm glad I did. Use it or lose it.
Yeah, and that's also to say as well, people who did vote, Patron did say he voted. Listen, I'm glad. This is the whole thing. We are Americans. It is our right to use. I do feel like some people should be a little bit more educated before they use that right. Our ancestors died for that right. I don't think it should be a right just says, oh, because I'm a citizen, let me just throw a ballot out. That is controlling the next 4 years of what our country looks like. Yeah. So I do believe that there's some due diligence that needs to be there. I do think, I don't know. We can go into some like policies and stuff, but I do think some people need to I don't know. Maybe I'm going a little too deep into it, but I think like some people could use like a class. Like people should be able to at least speak on 5 policies that their candidate that they want to vote for has, as opposed to saying, I like the way he was on the Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert, and it's just like, but you're not voting for personality, you're voting for policy, right?
No, I think I don't know if that's supposed to be I don't know if it should be a requirement, but it should be. Yeah, because if we go into requirement,
we're gonna hurt some feelings. So I don't wanna be like it's mandated, but I do feel like we need to be there for real.
All right, guys. Whoever's there, send another request because I want to bring another person.
Victoria said that she has something to say about reproductive rights. Henry asks, do our votes really matter if electoral colleges determines who win? That's a very great question. So there's 2 votes that really go on every election. There's electoral college and there's a popularity vote. There has been a long debate. So I'm only 30. It probably goes on even longer than me. But there's been a huge debate whether to get rid of the electoral college or not, especially if you're going off the popular vote. The electoral college is basically explained by dense states like California, New York, PA, and the economic power hold they have on the country. So because a lot of business happens in New York and because a lot of business happens in California, they get a lot of votes. The same thing with Florida, the same thing with Texas. Like even though we're the United States, those key states, they basically say make up the economy of the United States. The middle, like the Midwest, Mideast, they're basically known as like the farming states, the ones that give us all our agriculture, all our power, the fracking, and all that other type of stuff. But for a long time, there was a huge debate on whether to let go of the electoral college or not. I am in favor of them completely taking it away. Yeah, I am in favor of that for sure. But we're going to keep this going because what do you guys think? Well, Victoria said she had something to say about reproductive rights. Let's go into that. So that was Kamala's whole campaign. Going back to what Conquest was saying. So what did you think about Kamala's marketing strategy? Do you think she marketed well? Do you think she completely misfired it?
No, she did not market well. That's why.
Was it even her fault? Was it her team? Maybe we blame Kamala too much, and it was just like, it wasn't me. It was my PR manager.
Well, here's the thing. You got to understand this, and Ari, you and I have talked about this at length. Really, at the end of the day, Kamala was a last-minute choice. Once we realized that the Joe ship wasn't going to make it to shore, that was going to sink. Like, listen, Joe wasn't ready, and it was just like, you know what? We're going to do this Hail Mary and throw Kamala in there. And I feel like, come on, guys. We weren't sold on her before. Now we're going to prop her up as a potential presidential candidate. And then again, I think the word I'm going to use, have a drinking game if you hear me use this word more than 5 times.
No.
Pandering. You know,
Thoughts on
let's
word
pander to the hip
salad?
hop
No.
artists. Let's pander to SNL. Let's pander. Let's pander to the women. You know, a bunch of women got
Let's pander to
mad when
like patrons. Let's pander to the women and the blacks.
dude. I don't even think she pandered to the blacks.
She went to church. Remember, she went to Howard for her rally speech. The HBCU.
And half of that campus was trying to debate if she was black or not. Half of the campus was probably trying to debate up to that point.
No.
Half the campus was trying to figure it out. Listen, again, I've heard more about Kamala's real ethnicity more than her policies. Like, that was a number one question. That's why it was so funny to me when I looked online and I saw how many people were like, yo, we got screwed out of getting a first woman president. Y'all don't want a woman black president. Y'all don't want a woman president. That's the rhetoric I saw. Y'all don't want that. That's too strong for y'all. And it's just like, dude, y'all didn't like this woman. Y'all weren't a fan of this woman. Yeah, they would have had much better luck if Michelle Obama was running. That's low key. That's what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to pull that rabbit out of the hat. That, hey, and now granted, we've all heard that Michelle reportedly never wants to do that. Like, she just does not want to run for any type of presidency. But let's just say if she wanted to, whew, that might have been a different conversation.
I believe so too. Right.
You know what I'm saying? That might have been a different
Obama's cabinet left loved. They left loved and they left highly respected. So if Michelle came back in, that would have been a whole nother story. Yeah. Whether you agree with it or not, like, that family was well respected. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I wouldn't doubt they were trying to make her happen. I wouldn't doubt if we were to go behind the scenes, I bet they were trying to make that happen. Because Barack was showing up a lot. Well, Barack's always going to show up. But I think there was a lot of conversation with that. But it's like, hey, I guess we're stuck with Kamala. We're going to make it do what it do. Get Cardi B. Get J-Lo.
I can't wait to get Cardi B and J-Lo. Listen, don't let me go to the conspiracy theory. J-Lo on the run right now. Okay?
Listen.
He couldn't show up for long.
But along with Beyonce. Remember, Beyonce was supposed to come out a while ago. And that didn't happen. And they had to run it back, you know? Ladies in the chat, man, if you're out here, feel free to hit the request line. But listen, so that's my perspective as a male as far as just how much they were drilling that down our chest. I want to hear, since we don't have any women in the chat yet requesting, and I hope any one of you guys.
Yeah, they're saying they're having a little bit of connect. I know Victoria did say that. Desiree said that her connection is working. Desiree, if you have someone else that's close to you that might be able to log into live, that can maybe it's the phones or not. We're also young. We're trying to get like this type of Instagram live conversation together. So thank you guys for being a part of the initial first draft of these types of conversations. But we look to keep this going as a segment as well, as a bigger conversation series.
Desiree was like, don't get me started on the conspiracies.
Listen, we're going to have a whole corner for that. Listen, as long as we don't get cease and desist by Jay-Z, like how he did with Pierce Morgan, they went from uncensored to censored real quick, okay? So we're not trying to deal with all that. We don't have that $1 million lawyer yet, but we don't have that lawyer yet.
It's really not going through that, because I think Vicky was trying to get back on. Desiree was trying to get back on. I feel, guys, like you might have to just jump back out, maybe get off Instagram, come back in. I don't know if you need to log out, but
Or Conquest, what we can do, we can take like a little 2-second pause. How about we end the live and jump back in? And then maybe that'll connect it. So if you guys can stay tuned, we'll just cut off. We'll come back on, and then you guys should see the alert in Radical on Fire circle. Okay, so
ladies and gentlemen, this is part 1. This is an emergency podcast.
Just to see if we can
Your Deprogrammed
have the connection
podcast.
For you guys, okay?
You know what I'm saying? Your Deprogrammed podcast episode. I don't know what this episode.
Ocho nueve.
Something. You'll name it when it ends up on YouTube. This is part 1, and we'll be back in give us about 2 minutes. We'll be back on. 2 minutes should work, right, Ari?
Yeah, 2 minutes is perfect.
All right,
guys. See you in a sec.
Come on back.